Okay, I'll get started. It's three guys picking, right? Oh. Sorry.
Hi, babe. What's wrong? Oh, we want to. Let's spin the wheel. Gotta press this button.
Spin the wheel, make a deal.
Press the button. Wait, okay. Now let's see what we won. You're gonna win the vacuum cleaner. That's great. We don't have to press it. We win it. Look. Zoop. Okay, press that button. Okay.
Okay, I'm going upstairs. I'm going upstairs.
Okay, come here. Come here. Look up there and say hi.
Hi.
Okay, now you can go. Break the walls down. Break the walls down. If you break the walls down, the house falls down, and the ceiling comes down, and everything's around on the ground. Break the walls down. Y2J. What you gonna say?
Is that how it goes?
Those are the words, right?
I have no idea.
That's the, yeah, like, that's not, that's Chris Jericho's.
Sorry, Chris, I didn't learn your song. I feel shame. I will now go to D-Box and feel shame. 2 minutes.
You know what? You just made the list.
Hey, what's up? Welcome to Three Guys Pickin'. I'm your host, Tyler. With me, as always, is Brodie.
What's up?
Not with us is any of our 12 extras.
None of them are here.
We have a very special show for you here today.
We have a very special show. One of
For you
your
here today.
all-time favorite wrestlers in the history of wrestling.
For you here today.
One of my all-time favorite wrestlers in the history of wrestling. Oh, not this one.
No.
Oh, yeah. Jericho. Y2J. Chris Jericho. Canadian.
And we still like him.
Well, I'm a closet Canadian, so, I mean, it's okay. Like,
I never knew.
I like poutine. I like Tim Hortons. I know all the provincial capitals. Go ahead. Saskatchewan. Regina. British Columbia. Victoria. No, it's cool.
I'm happy to be here. It's weird though, like your stage setup has me kind of looking this way, so I have to turn my head this way. So I feel very like the Queen. The Queen always looks this way. Welcome to the show.
Well, we do have a simple solution. If you want to rotate like.
Well, then I can't. Who sits in a chair? How am I supposed to sit on a couch, rotated? Then I have to go. Then I have to do this. That's not comfortable. So for maximum comfort, I have to sit this way, and turn my head. Okay, so that's how this is gonna go. That's in my contract. I have to get a chair that faces forward, or there's no show. Lights Go Out is the new Fozzy single, and it's starting to really blow up for us. Kind of a game changer, a little bit different. Kind of dance club heavy metal, if you will. We were listening to rock radio and finding out that everything was kind of sounding very similar, so we decided to try something a little different. And we've always had, you know, the influences of course, we love Maiden and Priest and Avenged Sevenfold and Five Finger, but we also love, you know, Queen and Zeppelin and Pink Floyd and U2 and Guns N' Roses and Sabbath and all the bands that kind of had a little bit of a different sound from time to time, that weren't afraid to take chances and shake things up a bit. So that's what we did with Lights Go Out, and it's been really paying off huge. People are basically saying it's the greatest song of all time. And who am I to argue with that? I mean, come on.
That's awesome. So you have an album coming out with it soon?
We do. Yeah, we do. The album will come out in July. Single came out end of April, and that's kind of the way they do things now. You put the single out first, build up some buzz, and kind of let people know what the new sound is and what the new song is like, and then go from there. So that should be out in July.
What's the buzz been like so far?
It's been huge, man. I mean, we really got a lot of momentum over the last 3 or 4 years. The last record, Sin and Bones. I think we did 17 countries and over 160 gigs. So it was quite extensive touring. And it's been, you want to keep that momentum rolling. You know, like as David Lee Roth said, here today, gone later today. And we don't want to leave yet. So we thought we'd start working on a new record. And this is kind of I think every record you want to make it the best one you've ever done. Every band will say, this is the best record we've ever done. But in this case, we really believe this is the best record we've ever done. Now, whether the fans and everybody else agree with us is to be seen. But so far, so good. I mean, you know, we did Lights and we knew it was different, but you're always a little bit scared. Like, what if nobody likes it? What if everybody thinks it sucks? But it's the opposite. Like I said, everyone is basically saying this is the greatest song ever written by anybody. Anyone, ever. Better than Happy Birthday. Better than the Hockey Night in Canada theme. Better than Hollywood. Also, it's better than that one. Is what people are. I'm not saying it, but people are saying it.
Even better than Lick My Love Pump from Spinal Tap?
It could be better than Lick My Love Pump, but ours is not intertwining melodies, making a lovely romantic soup. Ours is just kind of in your face. You know, if we're gonna call a song Lick My Love Pump, we're gonna mean it. Not necessarily mean it, but try and mean it. Sort of.
Okay, and next up is the new hit video by Fozzy.
Fozzy. Can you say Fozzy?
Fuzzy.
Yeah.
Oops, oh yeah, and we're back. See, while we showed this in Chicago on Cable Access Channel 19 here in Chicago, we're not allowed to show music videos on YouTube for copyright. So as much as we'd like to promote Fozzy and sell some records like we do in Chicago.
Yeah, can you say Chris Jericho?
2 years ago.
We can't do that, so sorry Fozzy, we tried. YouTube sucks.
Yeah, but we got to, if you were in Chicago when it aired, you got to see it.
Yeah, so this is a completely new segment that we're just filming for this and not anything else.
Yes, nothing else, nothing else. So,
What's the difference playing giant festival shows like that as opposed to being, you know, in a wrestling ring and stadiums and like WrestleMania? Just talk about the difference between like the crowds and how you interact with them.
Well, a big crowd is a big crowd, whether it's WrestleMania, whether it's Download, or whether it's Rock in the Range or wherever. I mean, a festival is a festival. And a small crowd's a small crowd, and you know, if you're in the WWE, you work in front of small crowds too. I mean, you could go to the Peoria Civic Center and be in front of 1,000 people in a 7,000 seat building. You know, it happens all the time. So, the best way to deal with it is every show is the same. Every show is important. Every show is Madison Square Garden. Every show is Download or Rock in the Range. And when you have an attitude like that, you know, 10 or 10,000, 10 or 100,000. You tend to grow your fan base very quickly because people know that you're going for it every night. You know, we don't ever phone any gigs in with Fozzy. I never phoned any matches in with the WWE. It doesn't matter how many people showed up. So I always put on the best possible show that I can, whether it's the biggest crowd I've ever been in front of or the smallest crowd I've ever been in front of. And I'll tell you something else too. Working in front of a smaller crowd is way harder than working in front of a bigger crowd. Anybody can go out and kill it in front of, you know, 80,000 people. It's a lot harder to kill it in front of 80 people, but there's a way to do it, and you never punish the people who paid. You know, you always want people to think, just like Mike Damone says in Fast Times at Ridgemont High, wherever you are, it's the place to be. Look at this. Isn't this great? That's what you want. And I find that starts from the stage and it'll permeate through the crowd no matter how big or small the crowd is.
Anyway, very special show for you here today. Chris Jericho has joined us in the studio.
With us, Jericho, champion. Very
Really?
first ever undisputed champion in the WWEF, FE. I still don't like saying WWE. I always say WWF because that's just what it always was. And I know, like, WWE, people have to say it that way because they work for them.
Well, it's kind of silly when you get guys like Jake and other people going WWE.
Yeah, and
It's like it was never them. It was never that for them. Yeah.
Doesn't sound right. Doesn't sound right. So yeah,
So-
Jericho on tour with his band Fozzy. Okay, took some time out to talk to Three Guys Pickin, talk about music, talk about movies, talk about wrestling, talking about comic books, talking about the Dallas Cowboys, talking about Texas, okay, and how they, joined the Union way back in the day, talking about interstellar travel, talking about time machines. So it was,
I don't think we got to that subject.
we didn't talk about Fozzy?
We talked about Fozzy. We did not get to the interstellar time travel.
Oh.
So,
That would have been cool.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say I did a song with Dream Theater. I did some spoken word on a Dream Theater song. I believe it's called Redemption. Repentance. I always get that wrong. It was back a few records ago. I think it was on the Systematic Chaos record, and Mike called me and asked me if I would do a spoken word about some regrets that I've had. And I think he had Dave Ellison do it, and Mike Ackerfeld, and a couple other people. So I did appear on a DT record, but I didn't actually play a blistering keyboard solo or sing a song. I just spoke.
It's an interesting concept that they had about apologizing and stuff like that.
Well, I think that was the reason why they had everyone apologizing. It was the part of Dream Theater, basically Mike Portnoy's 12-step medley. I guess for about 4 or 5 records they would have a song that kind of dealt with either 1 or 2 or 3 steps in the 12-step program, with the idea being that you would put it all together in one big long, 65-minute song or whatever it was. But since Mike left, they've never done that. But so that was part of the, you have to apologize to everybody and repent and redeem yourself for all the bad things that you had done while you were an addict. And I think that was kind of the theme of that song.
that was the song 39 by Queen, which is about interstellar time
I was
travel.
gonna actually
You
start
see
singing
how that
that.
works in all
I was
together?
actually going to start singing that, but I didn't know that's what you were playing.
That's what I was playing.
I was
I was
gonna
playing a
start
Queen
singing
song.
39.
And you know what else? Is
Queen
6
is
degrees.
the best band ever.
6 degrees of Kevin Bacon here. Chris Jericho is a fan of Queen.
Of course, he's a fan of Queen. He's an amazing frontman for Fozzy. The guy's got some pipes. He's obviously he's a metal guru and metal fan from way back in the days, growing up in Winnipeg. Okay, so how can you not be a fan of Queen? Greatest band ever. Greatest band ever. Oh, that's Queen too. I know that one.
Dragon.
Sheer Heart
It's
Attack.
a dragon attack.
Sheer Dragon Attack.
Yes. You were close with the
Dragon.
attack.
Yeah. Dragon Attack.
Anyway, so I'm sure all of our 3 YouTube fans don't want to see us ramble.
Thanks, guys. That's what we do.
So, yeah, and people still don't get that.
We don't have coherent, linear segments.
I know it looks like we spent a lot of time
We did
putting
write
this
this down.
together.
Well, I'm reading from a script.
You got a script?
Yeah. I wrote it. Where's yours?
Right here, my friend. Yeah, anyway, so let's get to some more Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I love Queen, and there's so many great tunes. I mean, from Dragon Attack to, Sheer Heart Attack to Play the Game. But for me, I mean, my favorite Queen song is probably, it's hard to say. I love Crazy Little Thing Called Love, man. I hear that tune, I just think that's the epitome of Queen. It bops, it rocks. It's a great solo, great vocals from Freddie. But then I also love, there's so many. I love Bohemian Rhapsody, obviously. Hammer Will Fall, Tie Your Mother Down. The Show Must Go On is amazing. Innuendo is awesome. There's so many great tunes. Basically every Queen record, every song is great, except for Hot Space, which totally sucks. Freddie's Disco Experiment, not so good. And it's funny, I just bought, I Want Your Body, oh, don't talk, Body Language. And I remember listening to that when I was a kid, thinking, this is a pretty good song. So I bought it and put it on my iPod, and it came up on Shuffle the other day. I was like, this is not good. And Flash Gordon, too. I bought the song Flash Gordon because I remember when I was a kid, I just loved it. And I hear it, and it's like, it's not that great. But that's one of few Queen songs that isn't just amazing.
That's right, we snapped right into a hockey rink. That's kind of neat, huh? Chris Jericho, Canada, former NHL dad, 3 Guys Pickin, skates, Brodie, hats, ice. We like hockey. Whatever you can do, Jericho, I can do. Now, probably nowhere near how good you can do it, all right, but just wanted to show 3GP on the ice. What's up?
I only met the Ultimate Warrior once that I can remember. I mean, I might have seen him around a few times, but when he first came back to WCW in about '98 or so, I was really excited. He came back to work with Hogan, and I, of course, had to go introduce myself to him. Hey, I'm Chris Jericho, and I was just a nobody at the time. Like, I wasn't doing anything of any significance. And he was like, oh, wow, I've been watching your work, and like I say, he said I'm a big fan, but he was like, you're doing a good job, or I've been watching you, and you're doing a good job, something along those lines. And just the fact that, oh my gosh, like Ultimate Warrior was watching me, and he said I did a good job, like maybe I have a chance, because no one really knew who I was. And so that was pretty cool. And then I remember seeing him at catering after, and he was at the dessert table with a cookie, and he crushed up the cookie and put the crumbs in his hand and sniffed it. And I was like, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I don't eat dessert, I just sniff it. Just by crushing the cookie and by inhaling the aroma of the cookie, that gives me all the dessert that I need. And I was like, dude, that's pretty hardcore. That's commitment right there. But that was it, and I've never really saw him since then, as far as I can remember.
So growing up, you were able to say maybe you were a fan of his?
I was a fan because he was just so intense and so heavy, and he was a metal guy. You could tell that. Like, a lot of guys in the WWE had long hair, but they're usually mullets. He had like real legit, like James Hetfield long hair, and obviously his theme song was so heavy, and just his intensity. And I used to like watching him work, but he wasn't the best wrestler, but he didn't need to be. He just had an amazing character, an amazing presence. So, yeah, I was definitely a fan for sure.
So I wanted to ask you then, when they approached you about the Warrior DVD, the self-destruction, what was it like if you're being a fan? And you're like, we kind of want you to.
Well, I mean, I think have you watched that DVD lately? Yeah. So, I mean, I can't really remember did I say all bad stuff?
You actually weren't that bad.
Right.
You and Christian.
Right. I mean, I remember I made some jokes, which is fine. I mean, you make jokes. I remember about parts unknown and that sort of thing.
Right.
But that was just kind of making jokes and taking the piss out of somebody. But I didn't really know the inner workings of what happened between Vince and Warrior. But when you go to the WWE, sometimes they'll say, when you get to TV, so you get a list of things you got to go talk about. So you go in front of the camera and do, local promos, or you'll do, station identifications or whatever. And that was like, we're going to talk about the Ultimate Warrior, and ask me some questions. And I know how to do those things. I know I've been doing it for years, not just in WWE, but VH1, as far as encapsulated sound bites is what they're always looking for. So I just remember it was just a list of questions about the Ultimate Warrior. I wasn't even really sure. It wasn't like, okay, here's going to be, we're doing a DVD about the Ultimate Warrior. We're just going to bury him and make him look really bad and paint him this picture. It wasn't like that. It was just like, let's ask you a bunch of questions. And then me being me, I'll always look for the funny side of stuff. But I remember that somebody had told me that, like, of all the people on it, or a few of the people on it, like, you didn't bury him or say anything bad about him. And the reason is I didn't have anything to say about him other than hearsay. But for me, I can only judge people the way they treated me, and he was really nice to me. It's the same thing as when I hung out with Axl Rose, the one and only time I ever met Axl Rose in New York City. We hung out, until 5 in the morning, had the best time, greatest guy ever. I don't know any of the bad side of him because I've never seen it. And if anyone says, oh, Axl Rose, this and other thing, for me, I always know, hey, to me, it was nothing but cool. And same with Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah, I didn't think he said anything bad about him. I was just wondering if he told you we want you to bury him.
No, it wasn't like that. It was just that we have a bunch of questions to ask you about the Warrior, and feel free to answer any way you see fit. And they know that I'm always good in those things, which is probably why they asked me in the first place.
What'd you do? You said you could try again. Well, you're out of lives, so you have to play a different game now, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So you have to play a different game.
No.
You don't want to play a different game?
Oh, no, this one.
Okay, so you want me to...
I really enjoyed both of your books.
Thanks, man.
Especially the first one. It was very funny.
Thank you.
You had some great stories. The one story about when you met some girl at a restaurant. Like she was
In
kinda
Mexico?
digging you and
Yeah.
they were gonna roll you. That was
Yeah.
kinda scary.
Yeah, I mean, I was in Mexico City, and it was the first place I was ever really a big star. Not to sound egotistical, but I was like a pinup boy, a cover boy. Kind of a real famous thing. The blonde-haired Lionheart going down there, and some of the places were really crazy. Kind of like not Beatlemania, but for me, I could start to figure like must be what like 5% of what Beatlemania must have been like. So there's a lot of girls around, and after the show, I'd always go out and eat, and there was a girl at a table sitting there with a guy, and she was kind of looking at me, and I went over and talked to her, and she asked me to go to a party. The guy was her brother. So we went to the party, and he was driving. We were in the back seat making out. I noticed that the lights of the city are getting dimmer and dimmer and dimmer until we're basically out in the middle of nowhere. Pull the car over, pull the gun at me, get out of the car, pointing the gun at my face. And if you've ever seen the beginning of a James Bond movie where they have there's like grooves you see the grooves? That's the inside of a pistol, the barrel of a pistol. And I know this because I saw those grooves when the guy was holding it about this far from my face and asking me for money, which I didn't really have much. I gave him whatever I had, and they drove away. And I remember thinking, like, what a fucking bitch. I just bought her dinner. I never forgot that. I bought you dinner, and you just robbed me. And even worse, I'm out in the middle of nowhere. Like, how do you get back to Mexico City, Prefecture? I'm in the outskirts. So I just started walking, and there was a couple of like stray dogs that were like my only friends, and nobody would pick me up. And finally, a taxi picked me up and dropped me off at my hotel, and I got money from the front desk to pay for it. But I was thinking, like, if I get shot right now, no one will ever find me. This was like '93. There's no cell phones. It was the Wild West, and I never would have been found. I just would have disappeared, and they could have taken my body and dumped it in a canyon somewhere, and you never would have seen me. I wouldn't be here right now. So I was lucky that day. So moral of the story, don't buy strange girls in a foreign country dinner. And if you do, definitely don't go in a car with them to go to a party.
Yeah, so hopefully you guys enjoy that. But I remember the first time I saw Fozzy was on an episode of Monday Night Raw. Must have been back around, 2001, 2002. No, not one. Probably 2 or 3. I don't even remember. I thought I said I remembered, but I don't. I remember they played a song about what it's like to kill a stranger, and it was pretty cool to see Jericho up there singing. And, the guy is a consummate professional, and he is so multi-talented. So to see him have the year he had last year in WWE is awesome. He's United States champion heading into WrestleMania. He's got all the best catchphrases right now. You just made the list. Drink it in, man. Jericho is the man. If we can have a short list of people who we would let hang out with us, Jericho would be on that. Right, Mary?
I was touching these.
Say Chris Jericho.
Jericho.
Good job. All right.
I really enjoyed the humor in your book. Not only do you just tell a story, but you kind of throw a joke in there too. Right. So many wrestling biographies just kind of...
Well, biographies in general, right?
Yeah, they just meander.
Well, I mean, the thing with me is, I have a sense of humor, and I always wanted, I went to journalism school to write. I wanted to be in a rock band, and I wanted to be a wrestler. Those are my 2 goals. But until I was old enough, I had to find something else to do, and I went to journalism school. So I always wanted to write a book. They never asked me when I was in the WWE, so when I left in 2005, I signed a deal and wrote the whole thing myself, all 3 of my books. The 3rd one comes out in October. And I realized, like, I can't go and, like, if there's someone I didn't like, to write about it in the book, it's very final, it's very permanent. And in the end, I won. Like, it's my life story. I had these 2 dreams. I made them both happen. So why am I going to waste my time talking shit about someone else? So take that away. And I realized I'm the best target. I can take the piss out of myself as much as I want. I'm not going to sue myself. I'm not going to be mad at myself. And I'm not going to make myself look bad because it's me. So the theme throughout all three of my books is humor and also seeing the funny side of all the stuff I've been through. Because it would be very easy to just talk about how great I am, but who the hell wants to read that? And I'm not great. I'm just a guy who had a couple dreams and just followed through on them and had all these ridiculous stories along the way. And when I got offered a deal to do book 3, I'm like, are you kidding? Like, first book is 29 years. Second book is 8 years. Third book, like, what am I going to write about? You know, I'm not even 43 years old and I have 3 autobiographies. Like, Churchill had 1. But then I realized I got a lot more of a ridiculous life than Churchill does, and I'm a funnier guy than that. So when I started writing the third book, lo and behold, 415 pages later, I've got way more stuff to write about than I can even fit into the third book. So now I could even start doing a 4th book if I wanted to. And all books are the same in quality and tone. If you like the first 2 books, you like the third one, because there's just as much ridiculous stuff. When you're in show business, ridiculous stuff happens on a daily basis. You could go from having the biggest show and the biggest festival in the world, you know, Carolina Rebellion. We played in front of 15,000 people in between Volbeat and Zombie on our own stage. People came over to see us. We tore the house down, had the greatest show ever. Very next night, we go to Washington, D.C. There's a storm, it's raining, it's not a good night. 100 people are there. And once again, all right, let's make these people have the best show they've ever seen. So you go from playing in front of 15,000 to playing in front of 100. And the next day there's 1,500. Next day there's 200. You just never know. And that's why you can never take it too seriously. All you can take seriously is your show and your performance. The rest of it, you got to take it with a grain of salt, or else you'll go insane. That's why I get along so well with Zach, former guest on 3 Guys Pickin, Zach Wild. He never takes anything too seriously, and he sees the humor and the ridiculousness in everything. And that's the secret to longevity in show business.
Did you say ridiculous or ridiculous?
Either or. Ridiculosity is, I think, the word I use. It's another new word that I came up with.
All right. It's lonely out tonight, and the feeling just got right for a brand new love song. Somebody done somebody wrong song. Hey, won't you play another somebody done somebody wrong song? Make me feel at home while I miss Chris Jericho. While I miss Chris Jericho.
My favorite match that I was in?
It's your
I mean, people ask me all the time, and the go-to is always me versus Shawn Michaels at No Mercy, the ladder match that we had for the world title. And that's not so much just because of the match, which was amazing, but because of the circumstances surrounding it. It was never supposed to be, it was never supposed to go that long. It was supposed to be a one-off back in April, and here we are in October doing a ladder match for the world title. All that stuff was just organically created because we had this amazing body of work to fall back on for that angle of Jericho versus Michaels. So if you had to ask me, that would probably be it.
What's your favorite match as a spectator?
Michaels versus Undertaker 1 from WrestleMania, whatever it was, 25, or the first one that they had at WrestleMania. It was picture perfect match, the best match I've ever seen. I think it was WrestleMania 25, actually.
Well, yep, that's right. Chris Jericho, the first ever undisputed champion in WWE, combined all of the titles. And he's a big hockey guy, he's a big Canadian guy, we're big Canadian guys. So just as you can see Jericho, watch out for the cone.
British Bulldogs? Oh yeah. I always wanted to be the 3rd British Bulldog. My friend and I used to think, like, if we wear cut-off shirts and flex our muscles and hang out behind the Winnipeg Arena, maybe the Bulldogs will take us on and we can be the 3rd and 4th members of the British Bulldogs, but they never did.
Do you have any pull left with WWE? Maybe you could talk them into releasing a Bulldogs DVD?
Nobody has that type of pull. You know, it's all Vince McMahon. I can get you a ticket if they come to town, that's about it. I'd love to see one, though. But what happens, though, is that they don't have a relationship with anybody. I mean, Dynamite is MIA, bad health, Davey Boy's dead. So for them to do that, they're always worried about kind of the ramifications of, well, where are these guys now? Well, one of them's in a wheelchair, basically crippled, and one of them died, very young. So that could be a reason why you might never see that, and why you might never see them in the Hall of Fame either. To me, they belong.
Use some of the coins that we don't have enough coins, I don't think.
But I can't.
Hold on a second. Yeah, we have 0 coins, babe. We can't play this one right now. We have to let it rest. It's gotta rest, okay?
No.
We can play in 9 minutes.
I'll play the diamonds.
You play something else until that it rests.
No. I did the diamonds on this one.
We can't play that one. It has to rest. You used all your lives, okay?
I thought that was awesome that you were the first undisputed champion in wrestling history. But I was a little disappointed as we got towards WrestleMania. It almost seemed like you were kind of getting pushed aside a little bit for the Steph Triple H storyline.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the way it was at the time. I mean, if you look at where I was then in comparison to where I was, in 2013, it was a completely different guy. I mean, I don't even know if I'd even tell you if I was ready to be the champion. I mean, there's a lot of responsibility to be the champion, a lot of maturity that you need, and a lot of pressure. So I think any time you win the championship is always cool, but the first time is almost a buy. It's a gimme. I mean, pretty much everyone in the WWE, to a certain extent, will be the world champion at some point. If you look down the list, I mean, there's some greats and there's some guys like that guy was the world champion. So to me, like I said, it's not winning it once that counts. It's winning it a second time or a third time, or in my case, 6 times. That shows that the company has belief in you and has faith in you. One time, it's always, well, let's roll the dice and see how it goes. So in that time frame, the fact that I won the damn thing in the first place, when you look at the guys that I was up there against, it's pretty unbelievable. So, and I could feel it at the time, but I didn't really have the pull to change it. So, I mean, you just kind of go with it and learn and do the best you can. And some of the matches I had during that run were great. Some of them weren't so great. But when I came back in 07, that's when I became the Jericho that I guess I am today. So I look at that, it was an experiment, it was a good experience, but it was not the real Chris Jericho. That happened, in 2008, 2009, 2010, and onward.
And hey, what's up? We are in the middle and or near the end of our Chris Jericho show. Just wanted to say thanks, Chris. It was great that you're able to do that for us.
Yeah,
and actually, he said that the reason he did it is because we had Zach Wilde on twice and they're friends. So thank you, Zach.
Thank you, Zach. Thank you, Chris. It's better to hear that than a lot of times when we hear, the only reason why I did your show is because I fell down and you guys had a camera and started talking to me. So yeah, thanks, Chris. Cool guy. We've been a supporter for years and years. We will continue to be so. So thank you for giving us your time.
Daddy,
What's up?
there's some money's over here.
Oh, okay. Can you say Chris Jericho?
No.
Here, right there.
Chicago.
You're from Toronto, aren't you?
Yes, I am. Not going to take the bait on that one. So funny how that worked too, because when I said that, I didn't even think, like someone said, you're from Toronto. I think it just pissed me off. Like, first of all, I'm from Canada. We're in Washington, D.C. It's not like there was some kind of a big, country-to-country feud like I was from Russia during the Cold War or something. So say, go back to Toronto, you idiot. One, what does that even mean? It's Canada. It's 2 hours from here. Two, I'm from Canada, but you're not smart enough to fucking know that I'm not from Toronto. I'm from Winnipeg. That's like saying, we're in Chicago. It's like, oh, you're from the States? Are you from Detroit? Oh, you must be from San Antonio. That's the States, right? Like, fuck, dude. Canada has more cities than Toronto. So I just threw Taker back in the ring and said, I'm from Winnipeg, you idiot. And now that became, that and armbar would be on my epitaph as the two things that people care the most about of what I've done in the WWE. And I write about that in my new book, The Best in the World, at What I Have No Idea, that comes out in October.
Dada.
We were wrapping it up, so you should wrap it up.
Dada.
And that's right.
I want to know that song.
Last question, isn't Three Guys Pickin' the greatest show ever?
It's the greatest show I've ever done with a handheld camera in a dressing room in Chicago in the Home Bar. Definitely best show I've ever been a part of is Three Guys Pickin'. And do the decadence dance like Extreme when he picked his nose and flick at the camera. So use some of that big budget, that $3 Guys Pickin big budget and put some CGI in there. Is it official? Because I don't want to fucking bootleg, man. Well, definitely the greatest shirt I've ever got in the dressing room in Chicago in the home bar of the greatest show I've been a part of in Chicago in the home bar in the dressing room. 3 Guys Pickin. One more time.